Welcome to those who just joined. Just take a minute to get yourself situated with lots of supplies nearby. Pillows and blankets is what we like. You might want a scarf or a towel as well to use as a strap. If you have a piece of furniture nearby that you'll want to use maybe to rest your head on or sit up against, maybe you're by a wall, that's a great place. We'll get started in just a moment here. So you can get out any movements, any fidgets, anything before we come to rest. If you want to take a quick stretch, I'll get us set up on our backs in just a moment. Okay, so gather up pillows and blankets. Your video can be on or off, totally up to you. My name's Laura, and it's great to have you here tonight. As we get started this evening, you pick any pose where you can breathe and just be for 5 to 10 minutes as we get started. I'll offer you a few options here. If you've got pillows nearby, and I hope that you do, you might start on your back in a few different positions. You could be lying flat, Shavasana. You also might like kind of a reclining butterfly pose. So here I've got my pillows stacked up. I'm gonna lean back almost like I'm in a recliner. And then I'm gonna bring the soles of my feet together and put pillows under my knees. I've got a blanket and pillow over here. And I might need to adjust. Maybe I want more pillows under my head. Maybe I don't like this kind of incline. I'd rather be lying flat, but I like the pillows under my knees in this butterfly pose. You could also play around with a supported fish pose here, where you bring the support behind you a little further down the back so that your head actually hangs along the back. If that's kind of congested, hard to breathe, I wouldn't go there quite yet. But get yourself propped up and situated in any place you can rest. And for you, that also could be seated. Maybe you're sitting on pillows. Maybe you've got pillows under the knees. Lots of support. Okay, wherever you've landed, let's get oriented to our 5 senses. I love starting with this because my mind tends to not be in the present moment, but my senses get me grounded to 5:02 p.m. Central Time in whatever space you're in. So whether eyes are open or closed, notice what you see. It could be ambient light, glow of the computer screen, a soft focus on your surroundings. Maybe you just glance at something that you don't usually observe in your space, but kind of catch like it's something new. Notice what you smell. So as you rest comfortably in any position that you're in, just tuning into a sense that you have in the space that you're in. It could be an ambient aroma, maybe it's from clothes. See if you can taste anything. Maybe you put on chapstick recently. Maybe there's some lunch that you can tune into, whatever your sense of taste is or isn't right now. Notice what you hear. You might hear some of the heating system in my apartment, my voice, the music, the hum of your computer or computer's fan, things happening in your own home right now. See if you can pick up on a couple different sounds. And then try to sense 3 different touches, 3 things that you're touching, whether that's the cotton from your shirt, the elastic from your sweatpants, the texture of your mat or the floor, one of your pillows. Maybe you have hand on hand or hand on chest, you feel skin. And once you've done your senses scan, notice the breath without changing it just yet. Just watch where it is. So I notice my breath. I feel it in my mouth and I feel it mid-belly. What happens in between, I don't really have a sensation of tonight. Just notice where you observe your breath. Notice the depth, the temperature, the volume. Just getting your baseline. Here you are, right here. And I invite you to deepen the breath. Now you can just fill up bigger, deeper inhales, deeper exhales. See how that feels. Full and expansive in and out. Nose or mouth, your choice. I like an open mouth exhale, really getting a lot of energy out. And observe how your body reacts to those breaths. When I exhale, I feel my neck get longer. I feel my body get heavier on the mat. I feel like there's a little bit of a cave in my chest. It's just me. This is not like this is the sensation you should be feeling for. Just observe what's happening for you as you breathe deeply. Now, while we're here resting, I'll offer you a breath pattern that you might try on. We'll just do it 3 times, your choice. And it'll be into a count of 4, hold to a count of 4, out to a count of 6. So just extending the space between the breaths and the exhales. Try it if you'd like, leave it if you don't. I'll count you through 3 rounds. Okay, so empty out all the air. Into a count of 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold 4, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can go at your pace too. Into 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold 4, 2, 3, 4. Out for 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just one more time if you want. Into 4. Notice what happens. 2, 3, 4. Observe the pause. 2, 3, 4. Big exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can go back to your regular breath pattern, or you might keep that pause and that exhale. Just see what that does for your nervous system, your sense of relaxation. Longer exhales stimulate our rest and digest response. Okay, so as you're breathing here, fully supported, heavy on the mat, We're going to get ready to start doing some movements. All our movements today will be as much or as little as you'd like. This is not a class where you need to push yourself. And in fact, the pushing yourself might be to do less, to use more support. So wherever you are on your mat, let's take a long body stretch. You might have pillows and blankets under you. If it feels good, just stretch. Fingertips back, heels forward. If the pillows or blankets are kind of in your way, it doesn't feel great, get them out of the way. And then let's bring knees to chest. Rock a little side to side, massage the low back. Maybe you also roll shoulder blade to shoulder blade. Okay, bring both feet to the floor, knees towards the ceiling. Let's just windshield wiper the legs side to side. Any amount, it doesn't have to be a lot. You might let the knees drop towards each other and away. Or you might go over to the right, over to the left. Maybe your hips, your low back is tacked to the floor and you just drop knees. Maybe you roll and you make it a big movement side to side. You can see my arms have come out almost to a T. You can be down at your sides. You can even have them overhead. Let's do whatever feels intuitively good for you. Bring knees back to center. Cross right ankle over left thigh. Rotate that ankle a few times. Point and flex the foot. Now notice if by lifting that leg, you've come off the mat a little bit, try to let your body stay just really heavy on the mat. Okay, with that ankle crossed, a few options you can hold right here, let it settle. You might draw your left thigh towards your chest. Maybe you even use a blanket or towel to wrap around that thigh, hold you into place. So I've got a blanket here within arm's reach. I'm just gently putting it around, keeping my arms on the floor. So rather than effort, hold myself up, I'm keeping everything flat, just really lightly holding the blanket here. I decided that's too much effort for me, not interested. I'm actually gonna put that foot down and make it into a twist. So that's another option for you. With one ankle crossed over thigh, let the legs drop to either side. I like to go over to the left. I'm gonna stretch on my right hip. So you're just doing your own hip opening warm up on the right side. A few more breaths here. Again, let yourself be heavy on the mat, really supported. Weight of the body is spread out across various joints. Breaths just as full as when we were lying flat. Whatever variation you're in, come on out. Bring both feet to the floor, knees towards the ceiling. Uncross the left, or rather right ankle. Maybe you shake this out a little, windshield wiper the knees. And then bring the left ankle over the right thigh. You can circle that foot. So left foot circles, just a little bit of movement of that ankle, point and flex the foot. And then you decide you can hold here, shift the weight, let it be steady. Maybe you really drop that left knee forward, opening the left hip. Maybe the right knee comes in. Maybe the right leg goes up. Maybe right foot's on the floor, knees drop over to the right side. A little bit of a twist. You could also make the focus not the legs at all. So maybe the legs are just resting somewhere. But you want a little bit of a neck stretch, so you turn your head to the right side or the left side, just pausing for a few breaths. Little supported neck rotation. Body heavy. If the mind is wandering, check the senses, check the breath. Whatever option you've chosen, that was the right one for you. Come back to center, uncross the left ankle. Let's take one more long body stretch, fingertips back, heels forward, maybe legs go out wide, arms could go out wide, your choice. And then let's roll to either side, fetal pose. And if you've got pillows nearby, prop yourself up, put them somewhere that feels good. So you might want a blanket over your hips for this moment, or something between the knees, something under the head. Just getting used to grabbing support. Just making that your default rather than going it alone. Again, heavy in the body. Exhales, more weight on the floor. And this weightiness we'll keep bringing into our postures throughout the rest of the hour. Okay, from here, we're going to press to tabletop. I say let your head just hang heavy. So as little movement as you can, just transitioning to all fours. Head hangs, hands and knees. Move intuitively, whatever feels good. Now I say that I'm not a person who is, I'm more of a concrete, not so abstract. So intuitively, I'm like, I don't, which way do you want me to move my hips? I just mean do whatever seems like it'll feel good right now. Forward and back, side to side. It might be your head and neck. It might be shoulder blades. It might be hips. It might be toes. Just whatever seems like it would feel good for the next minute. Just do it. So just practicing, you deciding, if I have to spend my next minute in a particular way, how do I want to spend it? Often we feel like that's out of our control, and sometimes it really is. But maybe just for a minute, we have some agency we don't realize. Okay, from our tabletop, we'll stop that movement. Come back to hands and knees. We'll get ready to thread the needle. So inhale, right fingertips up high. Exhale, thread behind the left wrist. Right shoulder and cheek come towards the mat. Pillows, blankets. Let this be comfortable. So if your neck tends to feel a little bit congested in this pose, maybe you want to get your body up a little bit further, pillows under the torso. Maybe you want pillows under the head. Maybe it's pillows under the hips. Your left arm could be stretched far out. It could be wrapped behind the low back. It could be forearm on the floor. There's no one way. Maybe you really reach that right arm through, twisting the chest open. Maybe the arm's barely underneath you. Maybe you turn the head to the opposite side. Just see what that does for the neck. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. So no one way. And you can do each side differently. Just like we pause between inhales and exhales in that breath pattern, can you find a pause between stimulus and response when you experience a physical sensation? So right now, my hips feel kind of tight. I'm kind of white knuckling it, squeezing a little bit so I don't, so my knees don't spread, so I can kind of hold this position. My instinct is to lift my hips, slide my knees back together, and clench. But I'm trying to find a count of 4, something between the stimulus and response to just go, can I hold here? What if I stayed a few more breaths? Could I ease in? How might this sensation change? Maybe it doesn't, and maybe I do move. Just trying to give it a little bit more time before reaction. Let's do 3 more breaths in this thread the needle. And then take this heaviness, gently press up, unwind, unthread. Come back to all 4s. Let's set it up on the other side. I'm going to turn so I can keep facing you. Left fingertips high. Left fingertips come behind the right wrist. Again, each side could look different. I'm doing more pillows on this side. I'm going to try my arm behind my back. Just see how that feels for a few breaths. I might not keep it. I'm just going to see, can I last? Stimulus, arm behind my back before I respond. I decided harder for me to breathe with the arm behind my back, so I'm going to leave it. I tried, I got the data. I just moved on to something else. If I were to say at this point 3 more breaths, would you find yourself letting go of something? If I were at this point to say 1 more breath, would you really surrender something you haven't yet? Now we'll actually take 3 more breaths. We are resilient people, but without a finite end point, it can be really hard to hold on. It can be really hard to give in. One more breath. Maybe the surrender comes. And let's get ourselves unwound, pressing up, reaching up, coming back to tabletop. I'm gonna move my pillows out of the way so we can cat and cow just a few times. From tabletop, drop the belly, lift the chest, inhale. Exhale, round the spine. Crown of the head drops to the floor. Just a few more times, and you can make this your own. Maybe you turn your fingertips back for a wrist stretch. Maybe you curl your toes. Maybe you turn your body more towards one side and then the other. Let's do 2 more rounds of cat and cow. And then from tabletop, we'll have a seat. Comfortable, comfortable, comfortable seat. If you're near a wall, you might sit up against it. Pillows could be under knees, under hips. Same with blanket. Maybe you put a blanket on top of you. If you are in the cities right now, that wind was cold today. Blanket on top. I'm also going to have a blanket nearby to use as a strap in just a minute. Okay, from our easy seat, let's shrug shoulders into ears on an inhale. And exhale, roll shoulders out of ears, long neck. Inhale, shoulders into ears. Exhale, shoulders back and down. You can really exaggerate this. One more time, shoulders into ears. And exhale, back and down. Let's do one stretch on the back of the neck. Reach the arms up and overhead. You're gonna interlace the palms. Palms at the back of your head. Gentle pressure with the palms on the back of the head as chin comes to chest. So a gentle release on the neck and the upper back. Option is to turn head to either side briefly. And you'll know if you move where the palms are, it changes where the stretch is just a bit. Find the spot most useful to you. And it's not pushing, it's just a flat, open palm, just a gentle amount of weight. I invite you to do a little self-massage, just using the palms to grab along the back of the neck, maybe rub up to the base of the skull, and then you could use each palm at the shoulder and base of the neck. Just a quick self-massage. Shoulders and neck. Let it feel good. Then we'll bring the head back to center, arms down, and just rotate the head and neck. Exhaling, chin down. And inhale, bringing the head around. Now you've already gone chin to chest for a minute. It might feel good to just let the neck stay in position, ear to shoulder, and top of head back, ear to opposite shoulder. Maintaining a bit of a long spine. Noticing if you're hunching forward, trying to lengthen that spine, you could get up against a wall or piece of furniture. Another option is to bring palm over, so like left palm would come over to the right side of the head. Gentle pressure, open palm. Getting a stretch along the right side of the neck. And maybe you hold for a moment. And then as the head comes around to the opposite side, so if head is left, or rather right ear to right shoulder, the right arm comes up, gentle pressure on the left side of the head. You can finish your rotations or your pausing head and neck and come back to center. Let's do the shoulder blades a little bit. So you could do no blanket. You can just use your hands here. I'm going to use a blanket as kind of a strap, bringing the blanket in between my hands at least shoulder width distance. I'm going to reach up and then reach behind me as I squeeze shoulder blades together, chest broad, chest, and I'm leaning forward slightly. So squeezing my shoulder blades, broad chest. Now you can hold here. Maybe you flow forward and back. Maybe you stretch side to side. This is your time to freestyle. Maybe you twist. Maybe you take a little bit more of an accelerated flowing movement. Maybe you hold. It's your minute to move shoulders and chest. Once you finish this movement and you've gotten into some of those areas in shoulders and chest, you can bring whatever you're using to the mat, just set it down and just sit. Take 3 breaths, just seated. Notice how your heart rate has changed, your energy has changed, your breath has changed, if at all. If that did bring your heart rate up, maybe you just note it as something you might do at times where you're looking to build a little bit of energy. From here, we're gonna come down to our bellies on our mat. So I'm gonna move my pillows out of the way for now. Move my props, and we're gonna be belly down. Let me just tip this a little bit down so you can see me. Belly down on the mat. And you can do this crocodile pose. So forearm stack, forehead on top of wrist. That's an option. You can also do arms back, head flat on the mat, or bring a couple of pillows, head to one side. You also might like a little bit more support under the thighs or even under the ankles. You could put a pillow under there if the spine doesn't feel quite right here. Okay, so wherever you are, we're just noticing the breath as the belly presses onto the wall. What kind of feedback can we get about the depth of our breath, the pace, the volume? I'm going to turn this into a prone frog position. So if legs are straight right now, I want you to turn your feet to the sides of the mat, so knees bend out. And then start creeping those knees up towards a 90-degree angle with your hips. Now, 90 degrees, you could be 1 degree. You're still doing it. Turning your knees out. So you might notice now that the hips have come way up off the mat. That's a sign you might want to bring the mat closer to you, pillow underneath. So you can bend the knees here a little. You can bend the knees a lot. You can even play with a prone butterfly, soles of the feet together. Just see what this is like. I know for me, if I was to hold this, I would need pillows under my hips because my glutes are going, oh, no thank you. I do not want to hold here. Wherever you've landed, I invite you to turn your head to one direction. A little bit of a passive neck stretch. We'll switch sides halfway through. So wherever you are, whether that's prone butterfly, prone frog, maybe you're more of a crocodile, the legs are more straight, that's just fine. Let your body get heavier. You might do a little body scan here. Noticing how everything feels. So maybe you start at the toes, then to the balls of the feet, the arches, the heels, the ankles. As I get to my ankles, I think, you know what, they actually are cramping a little bit because my feet are normally not out in, dancer second position like this. I guess I am feeling something in my ankles. And up the shins and the calves. Front and back of knees. Front and back of thighs. Pelvis and hips. Up the spine, the back of the spine, and the belly side. And as you find sensation, either note it, or if you note it and take a pause and think, I'd actually like to adjust that. Or maybe I notice there's a sway in my low back that doesn't feel very supported, so I decide to put another pillow under me somewhere to even that out. And just keep going up the back, the chest, shoulders, top of the arm, forearm. At this point, I invite you to turn your head to the opposite side. Another passive neck stretch, opposite direction. Still noticing shoulders and neck, ears, jaw, cheekbones, eyebrows. What sensation do you feel? After you observe, is there an adjustment you want to make for more comfort? I can say personally that sitting with sensation is not easy for me at all. Not at all. I look for closure and certainty and relief. So knowing something's happening in my left hip right now, and I don't know how long it's going to last. No one's told me it's 3 more breaths. My mind can really fixate there. So I know for me, I'm really working on, can I just take another breath? Can I notice that it's there? Just take another breath. I'm not trapped. I can move. I can also stay. Just one more breath. So that's the kind of mental mindfulness that I do during my yoga practice. Yours might be quite different. You know what's useful for you. We really will take just 3 more breaths here. In this prone position with the neck stretch. Start to gently release the legs. Just let them slide back, straight back. If you have props under you, you're welcome to move them. Maybe you leave them, see how this feels. We'll take seal pose or sphinx pose. Your choice. Gentle chest stretch. You might also want to use pillows for this, or blanket. I'm going to move the pillow from my pelvis. Okay, so sphinx pose, forearms down, elbows under shoulders, forearms parallel. Here you might like pillows on your chest or torso. Traditionally, chin is parallel to the floor. Though if you're working on relaxation, head could hang. Another option here is seal pose. It's a bit more active, taking our palms out. Try to show this to you. Our palms out to the edges of the mat, tenting the fingers, lifting the chest. Again, you might use pillows. Under torso for a little passive support. Legs are straight back, tops of feet on the mat, pelvis presses into the floor. Sphinx and seal both, again, get a little chest expansion, spinal extension. You decide what you prefer. Just take a few more breaths here, sphinx or seal. Our release will be child's pose. It will be relatively brief child's pose. So when you're ready, press up, send your hips back towards your heels. Get anything under you that you'd like. Relatively brief child's pose, just about 2 minutes here. Forehead can be down. Forehead could turn to one side, and I'll let you know when a minute is up. We'll turn it to the other side. Look for areas of space, look for areas of congestion. So I know for me, I tend to go shoulders into ears, cozy, cozy, cozy. Then once I notice that, I think I actually feel better when I have more space. It's kind of a scrunching. It's kind of a coping mechanism that feels good in the moment, but isn't really the release that's most useful for me. Okay, if your head's to one side, you can turn it to the opposite side. A few more breaths in child's pose. Big, deep, heavy breaths. From child's pose, we'll take a half pigeon pose. You might prefer to take this on your back, ankle crossed over thigh, figure 4 stretch. If you'd like to take it belly down, shift forward. Bring your right shin through, left leg long. If there's space between your leg and the floor, pillows, blankets, support. You also might, this is a place where I might actually play a little bit with this chair that I have. You're like, where is she gonna put a chair in all this? I'm just gonna try it out for me, see how I like this. Leaning forward this way, rather than folding all the way down. I'm just gonna try it for a few breaths, see what I think. I'm noticing a lot of sensation. I actually feel like I'm resisting what's natural. Okay, I'm gonna ditch the chair and just fold forward. So you make this half pigeon, whatever you'd like it, with as much support as you can get. Maybe you play with evening out the weight of the body across all points touching down. Maybe you lean into the imbalance. You're heavier on one side. If the mind and breath don't feel like they can settle, I invite you to roll out of this, come onto your back, bring your right ankle over your left thigh, hug your left thigh towards your chest. Do what helps you breathe. Do what helps you stay present and tuned in rather than forcing, clenching, resisting. If there's something that you're still holding, you're still efforting, so you're working, you're squeezing, you're not letting gravity do it, you're actually clenching muscles. See if you just totally let that go. Could you stay in position if gravity just held you here? Three more breaths and half pigeon on this side. Of course, you can stay longer if you'd like. If you want longer here on the right side, just hang out longer. If you're ready to switch to the left, make your way out. Maybe that's pressing up, coming back to tabletop. Maybe you know you're headed to your back now. You'll do the left side in a figure 4 pose on your back. Get yourself situated, left side. I really like a back of the neck stretch. So I'm gonna kind of prop myself up here extra so I can drop the crown of my head onto the pillow. Just a little bit more at the back of the neck. So you find your variation. And if the mind has wandered, if it's to something outside of your yoga mat, I invite you to bring it back with any statement you feel like you can attach to, that you can kind of believe, have a bit of conviction about. So you might pick something quite concrete. I am here. I am on my mat. I am home. I am safe. I am supported. You might pick something that feels a bit aspirational. I am enough. I am at ease. I am relaxed. I am capable. I am steady. So you pick whatever phrase resonates with you, something that you might just be able to come back to in the mind. If it's a phrase that you think, I don't believe that, I'm only reinforcing how little I believe this by repeating that in my mind, then that's not the phrase for you. Pick something that feels like that's true. Maybe just come back to that phrase in our last minute here in half pigeon. From this half pigeon, go ahead and get yourself out. We're all coming to our backs. So you might want to move through tabletop, maybe a brief child's pose, a little stretch, whatever you need. We'll meet on our backs for a final spinal twist. So I like knees to chest first, massaging the low back. Especially after things that it might not feel quite neutral, so a little bit of a massage. And then your twist, however you'd like it. You can take both knees, drop them to the left. Maybe you bring just the right knee in, cross it over to the left. Maybe you like that figure 4, tip to the left. Maybe now that you're lying down, more restorative, more cooling, you might get a blanket involved on top of you, maybe under the knee. If you'd like, arms in a T, look over the opposite shoulder. It might also be nice to bring pillows under arms. That might give extra support. Our twist here will be relatively brief. So use a few exhales to sink in. Get heavy. Twist. Feel support. And then let's take it to the opposite side. It can be different. Maybe this time you try that figure 4 cross, tip to the left. Maybe you stack both knees. Glance in the opposite direction if you want. Maybe you do something totally different with your arms altogether. Poses need not look a particular way. Just our chance to feel something as we breathe. Again, inhales might bring a little bit of length and energy. And then the exhales, rest, digest, heavy, supported, maybe some relief, maybe some comfort. Okay, stay longer in the twist if you'd like. Otherwise, let's come back to center. Decide the final things you'd like to do before you hit your resting spot. So if there's any more movement, happy baby tends to be my default, or knees to chest. Maybe you want to stretch the legs up. Move in any way that you'd like, just final movements. And decide how you want to spend your final rest. What props do you want? Where do you want pillows or blankets under you, on you? Take your time to get positioned in that rest. We'll have a few minutes here. I'll guide you out at 6. You stay as long as you want though. And I'll end our call a few minutes after 6 so you can totally tune me out, check out, and be here as long as you'd like. I'll give you a few minutes and I'll guide you out. I invite you to stay here as long as you'd like. There's no rush to get up and end the call. I'll do that for you. If you're ready to be guided out, just move gently and slowly, small movements, back to your awareness. Just move with no rush at all to a seated position, or stay longer. I'm so glad that you could join me this Sunday night, teaching this class. Honestly, it is just as good for me as it is for you. It's gotten me through some pretty difficult times this season to be relaxed together with you. So my name again is Laura. I'll see you next Sunday night. You can gently rise, take a final breath, and log off, or you stay right where you are, and in a couple minutes, I'll go ahead and end our class. I'll end the Zoom. Thanks so much for being here.